Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 5 starts now.
An emotional start to the trial of James Crumbley.
4 children lost their lives. Families were destroyed, and a community was terrorized.
The father of the Oxford school shooter in court as the first witnesses take the stand.
The judge began reading instructions to the jury right around 8:45 this morning, and shortly after that, opening statements were underway.
Crumbley faces 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter in connection to the deadly shooting at Oxford High School. His trial comes just weeks after his wife Jennifer was found guilty on the same charges. Sean Lay spent the day in the courtroom and joins us now live. Sean, even so early on, there were plenty of differences this time around.
Stark differences between Jennifer Crumbley's case and just day one of James Crumbley's case. It all started with the assistant prosecutor, Mark Keast, pointing right at James Crumbley and telling the jury that it was James Crumbley, the one person, he said, who had the most unique ability, the most unique opportunity to stop the shooting. And he says he didn't, and he will prove that, starting with the first witness, a teacher who was shot that awful day.
And I see in my peripheral vision some movement. And so I look up, and in that moment, I see someone wearing dark, baggy clothes.
Oxford High School teacher Molly Darnell describing the terrifying moments of coming face to face with the teen son of James Crumbley, November 30th, 2021. His son, the Oxford High School shooter, on a shooting rampage at the school. Darnell says the teen fired at her at point-blank range through her classroom door.
You were shot that day.
I was. There's an entrance and an exit wound, and the line in the middle is where the bullet cauterized my flesh.
Prosecutors telling the jury not many parents will face criminal charges for what their children do. But Assistant Prosecutor Mark Keast telling the jury Justin Schilling, Madison Baldwin, Hannah St. Juliana, and Tate Meir would be alive today if James Crumbley had acted on what he knew at an emergency meeting at Oxford High School just hours before the rampage. Crumbley was presented with his son's math worksheet with a drawing of a gun, a drawing of a person shot, the words written, "Help me, the thoughts won't stop, blood everywhere."
Looking at this drawing and then not only staying silent, but then his failure to act is his willful disregard of danger.
Crumbley's attorney, Marielle Lehman, told the jury they can't hold Crumbley responsible for the shooting because he had no knowledge of his son's plans.
That his son could and would hurt other people, and that he failed to protect those people, that he failed to take steps to protect others. And ladies and gentlemen, that simply is not true.
Back here live, we knew James Crumbley called 911 as that rampage was unfolding, but we haven't heard that call before. It was just played for the jury last hour or so before the jury was sent home for the day. I'll play it for you coming up at 6 o'clock. Kimberly, there's a lot to it. Back to you.
Sean, before you go, what was the argument about after court today once the jury was let go?
Prosecutors, after the jury was let go, they brought up an issue. They said that they were very much against something going on with James Crumbley and his use of the phone in the jail. They didn't spell out exactly what that was. So there was a bit of back and forth argument, and basically Judge Matthews revoked his ability to use that phone, but can call his attorney or clergy. But right now, no details given about what was going on with the phone and James Crumbley at the jail. We're asking the jail right now. We looked at some court documents, nothing filed on this yet. We'll get to the bottom of it.
Interesting. All right, Sean, thank you. And be sure to stay with us for Local 4 News at 5:30. We'll have a criminal defense attorney to join us to talk about some key takeaways.
Also discuss what we can expect now as this trial moves forward. And then be sure to log on to Local 4 Plus coming up tonight at 8 o'clock, a full recap of day one of this trial.
All right, our other top story tonight, brand new information into a deadly shooting overnight in Highland Park.
This happened at a home on Grove Street, not far from the intersection of Woodward and McNichols. And as our Damon Fernandez reports, the victim is a well-known member of the community.
It's this house back here where investigators are focusing a lot of their attention. Neighbors are telling me it's a popular youth sports sponsor who was killed back here. It was just after 1 Thursday morning. Some neighbors say they heard commotion coming from this house at the corner of Grove and 3rd in Highland Park. Neighbors say more than a dozen gunshots were fired here. Whoever was inside didn't stick around.
It's a tragic
tragedy because of the simple fact that we lost a good person.
Word quickly spread a man's body was found inside the house. Highland Park and Michigan State Police secured the scene. One neighbor, who identified himself as Coach, didn't want to show his face, but is describing the 25-year-old victim as a hardworking and kind man who did a lot to help children in the community.
He looked out for the team, the football team. He will make sure that the kids, all kids, have cleats. He will make sure that all kids' tuition was paid if their parents couldn't pay it. He make sure that all the kids had pizza if he seen them in the yard playing football.
Police are busy canvassing the area and collecting evidence in and around the house, while other neighbors who asked not to be identified are also watching and wondering what happened. So this area has been blocked off for hours now, and this hasn't been confirmed yet by police. But neighbors familiar with this house are telling me the argument all started over some dogs. Folks in the area say the victim didn't live in this house, and they're describing Grove as a normally quiet street.
There's no reason for this to ever happen. We need to take more control of our neighborhoods and stop blaming it on other people. It's us at this point.
So I spoke with several people who had positive things to say about the victim. They're all wondering what really led up to the killing and who's behind it. Now, Highland Park and Michigan State Police are urging anyone with leads to give them a call.
Yeah, just awful. Well, how are the students and the athletes that he has helped? How are they taking it?
You know, Kimberly, this is a tough one because so many of the football coaches and parents I spoke with this afternoon said some of the teen parents have been talking and they're all devastated. They've spent the day debating how to tell their children about this tragedy. They told me they'll be planning some type of balloon release or vigil to honor the man.
Yeah, just awful.
Yeah, just awful. It sure is. All right, Damon, we'll see you at 5:30. Meanwhile, police in Bloomfield Township investigating a string of shoplifting incidents at the Ulta Beauty store on Telegraph. One happened on March 1st where a woman allegedly stole, would you believe, $11,000 worth of merchandise across 127 different items. $11,000. No word right now on a suspect.
A man from Flushing is facing charges in Wayne County for stalking Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel. Christopher Dean Baldwin faces charges for stalking Nessel and her wife, Plymouth City Commissioner Elena McGuire. Police say Baldwin rang the doorbell of their home and then sat on their porch. He's also accused of making other contact. Baldwin faces 2 counts of misdemeanor stalking.
We are expecting Detroit and the auto industry to play rather prominently in tonight's State of the Union address. UAW President Shawn Fain and EV charging CEO Natalie King are going to be in the First Lady's box for the speech. And the stakes pretty high with the general election campaign season now officially underway.
In tonight's State of the Union, President Biden has the rare chance to speak directly to millions of Americans as both commander-in-chief and candidate. One of the groups he needs to reach most, young voters.
Hey guys, I just went on NBC to save our democracy. Look what I said.
These Gen Z and millennial content creators will be asking lawmakers questions right before the State of the Union.
I think it's really important to talk about reproductive freedoms. After Roe versus Wade was overturned, a lot of people were left with no protections.
They use their enormous social media followings to encourage young people to get involved in their democracy.
Once we do, then we're unstoppable. You know, I think we're the most vocal generation. We have the power. We're just not utilizing it.
One key issue for young voters, U.S. support for Israel in the war in Gaza.
There's something very horrible, horrendous happening, and I believe this administration can do a lot more about that.
President Biden set to announce tonight that the U.S. military will lead emergency efforts to construct a port on Gaza's coast to get more humanitarian aid to Palestinian civilians. He'll also address negotiations to free Hamas-held hostages and support for Ukraine, while focusing heavily on the economy, reproductive rights, and protecting democracy. In a new video, President Biden's 2024 rival, former President Trump, attacking the president on his policies, especially immigration.
We cannot take it any longer as a country.
And the country will be watching as President Biden delivers a critical address heading toward the general election.
State of the Union address set for 9 o'clock tonight, and we will, of course, have live coverage right here on Local 4.
Well, just a picture-perfect early March day as we take a live look outside at Eastern Market here.
Really lovely, sunny, 50 degrees. We inch closer to the weekend. Let's get over to Kim Adams. Not going to stay like this, though.
No, unfortunately, tomorrow we'll have some clouds that are going to move in and some rain. So enjoy the last couple of hours of daylight here. 52 in Detroit, Howell, and Pontiac, 50 in Adrian. Temperatures right now are in the low 50s pretty much everywhere you go, with the exception of Port Huron lagging behind at 48. It's a little warmer than it was yesterday by about 7 to 10 degrees. Tomorrow we start the day with clouds. We do have a few showers that will arrive later in the afternoon, with our high reaching 52 degrees. The rain comes in a little earlier tomorrow, though. We thought it would come in more around sunset, about 5 or 6 o'clock, but now it's pushed up to around 1 or 2 o'clock. The good news there is that hopefully it will be out before Saturday morning and we can enjoy at least the start of the weekend. Second half of the weekend, though, calls for colder weather and the chance of a few snow flurries, and we'll talk about that coming up.